What are your calls? Claire on the Wirral on that point of the BBC. Claire, what do you think?
You know, I was a bit disgruntled actually hearing was he the ex-BBC chairman?
Yep.
Well,
he wasn't the ex-chairman. He was an ex-executive.
Ex-executive. Yeah. Okay. I just feel really that the BBC is totally woke and left-wing anyway. And just his comments really, you know, talking about white working class boys, you know. I just feel that the whole thing about the white working class boys not sort of getting places started with Thatcher when she basically sort of destroyed all our industries. Then along came Blair and he said, well, I bet the only thing you can do is go to university, you know, so... you know,
so there was I mean, we could argue about who destroyed the industries or were they destroying themselves, but that's a separate point. But you're right, there was a plethora of, if you like, working class jobs that kids would leave school and go into that sort of disappeared over that period of time.
Yeah, I mean, apprenticeships and... you know, just sort of all those kind of things. Really, it was just sort of, push your kids, you know, the best, they have to succeed. And to succeed, you have to go to university. And,
they essentially hoovered up a lot of people there and left. And I think working class black kids boys don't fare much better than working class white kids, boys. There's a working class discrimination, whereas Asian kids or kids from South Asian backgrounds, or I think also if you look at kids who are from sort of Chinese backgrounds and things like that, do better than anyone on the scale. So that's kind of interesting why that is.
Right.
And they don't always come from families that have a heap of money either.
No, possibly. But I do feel that, you know, white working class kids do feel more discriminated against now, you know, just basically because if you are from a different race, you know, it's, as you can see with the BBC now, you know, that they're sort of accepting more employees coming in that you know that aren't white.
Well, because they sort of have a curious belief that makes them nicer people to do that, and you think, what is this? You know, what we have.
Well, it's a wokeness, isn't it?
And it's kind of almost beyond that, because it's hard because they will say, well, no, actually, all they're doing is, you know, being kind and trying to level things up. But we've reached that point in most places. So
it's a bit of overkill,
why would
like
you
said about. Yeah, about adverts, which I know adverts are, you know, they're ITV, but they're muchness, aren't they?
True.
But, you know, all the adverts, you know, or you've got the black husband, you have the white woman, you have the mixed race kids in the adverts and everything, because this is sort of the big melting pot.
It's kind of interesting because you are sort of selling. I mean, I couldn't care who sells me washing powder or a Ford Mondeo, frankly, but I take you know. But nonetheless, I'm still curious as to why you would say, right, let's put a family in this advert that doesn't represent hardly anyone in the country. Now, of course, it does represent some people. Fantastic.
Yeah.
But it's not what you'd call a standard representation of British life. Curious times.
No.
Listen, Claire, I move on for no other reason. I want to get another call in. Thank you for that. That's Claire in the Wirral. James is in Leeds on immigration. We haven't got long, James, but I'm sure you can do it. Afternoon.
Hi, how are you, mate?
Good as gold at this end, thank you. Fire away.
Yeah, I've got a few concerns, obviously. I live in Leeds, and obviously Bradford's quite close, and obviously I travel to Bradford for work, and obviously I've got a 9-month-old baby at home, and the amount of times I've been approached while just driving through Bradford with my window down with all these pro-Hamas supporters that are trying to claim money, make me give sort of donations in the middle of the street. And for me, it's sort of like, I see them as a terrorist sort of organisation, Hamas, and I don't agree with anyone that's supporting them in this country. And obviously I feel like that's down to the government allowing these immigrants to come into this country and sort of turn it into that way where they feel they can walk around the streets, completely do what they want, say what they want, ask for money for for, you know, these Hamas organisations, and to me, it just doesn't feel right that that's going on in our country at the moment.
So there is, you get that real sense, do you, James, that there is a kind of, you're slightly divorced from the country you were raised in and live in?
Yeah, I mean, if you look back years ago, talk about when the Twin Towers happened, you know, everybody went in on them and said that's a terrorist organisation. They've killed civilians. They've blown up, you know, the Twin Towers. But now, when it's happened in Israel, everyone seems to be going the other way and sort of siding with the Palestinians. And
do you know what? Yeah, and you brought up a really good point about, and I think it's probably it's a massively complicated story. You know, why have the police not been seen to act at certain protests? The police will have their own answers to that. They say that they reckon they could cause a flipping riot if they do, so they try to do it afterwards by spotting the offenders. And I think I understand what they're saying. I'm not sure that's worth much if you are a Jewish person who happens to be anywhere near one of those marches where it's flipping terrifying. Listen, I take your point, James. Thank you very much. But I think actually your wider issue, more about the sense of disconnect, and it's that whole thing of perception over reality. And if perception hits, it becomes the reality. And that for many of those people that we're talking about here, like James, there is a real perception that you don't recognise the place you were raised in.